Hello students, today we're doing lesson 4.5, equations of the form ax plus b equals cx plus d. Okay, so this one is just a different type of equation, and I'm going to actually show you 3 examples, and I don't think it's too difficult, but there are a couple more steps in this. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with example 1. We're going to have 2x plus 5 equals x minus 2. So notice that I have x's on both sides of the equation and numbers on just regular constant numbers on both sides of the equation. So in order to solve this, I want to get it to look like the equations we have been solving. And I want all the x's on the left side of the equation and all the other numbers on the right side of the equation. So to do that, I need to move this x right here over to this side. Well, how do I do that? Okay, how I do that is I'm going to minus an x here and minus an x here. Remember, if I do one thing to one side of the equation, I have to do it on the other side. And when I get x minus x, that gives me 0. So that means I have no x's on the right side now. So I'm going to add these up. 2x minus x just gives me 1x. I don't actually have to put that 1 there, but I'm just going to put it there for now. Okay, these x's are gone because they equal 0. But what do I have here? I have a minus 2, which is also a negative 2. So I'm just going to change that to negative 2 since the number in front of it went away. If I had made that a 0, I would have 0 minus 2, which is negative 2. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to solve the problem like I would normally. 1x is just x. I'm going to minus 5 on both sides. And so I get x equals negative 7. Okay, let me show you how to check this one. Okay, I want to make sure that you know how to check these kind because they do look different than other checks. Okay, here's how the problem started. And that's how I'm going to check it. I'm going to put a negative 7, which was what my answer for x was. I'm going to put it up here into this x and into this x. So I'm going to have 2 times negative 7 plus 5 equals negative 7 minus 2. So notice now I don't know what each side is going to turn out to be. I like these checks better because it makes you actually do the work instead of just saying, oh, this equals this side. Okay, so I have negative 14 plus 5 on this side. And on the other side, negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. Okay, now I do negative 14 plus 5, and that gives me negative 9 equals negative 9. So this is what you should write for your check. Remember, you do not have to write this part. I'm just writing it up there so that you can see where I'm putting my x's. Okay, you can see that I'm writing the original equation exactly how it's written except for the x. Okay, that's it for that example. Let's go on to example 2. Oops. Okay, I got flipped my page in my book. Okay, example 2 is going to have a lot more steps in it, but don't worry about, don't think, oh no, this has so many steps or this looks more complicated. Just take it step by step. Okay, what do you think we're going to do first looking at this problem? If it has distributive property, you're always going to do that first. So I'm going to take my 3 on this one and distribute it out. So that would give me 3x minus 12. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the 4 and distribute that out. So I'm going to multiply it by everything inside of that parentheses. I'm going to get 4x minus 24. Okay, now look at this one. It's just like the one above it, for example 1, where I have x's on the right side. And I want to move those x's over to the other side. So I'm going to minus 4x and minus 4x. And that is then when I solve this, 3x minus 4x is a negative x. And I just bring down the minus 12. On this side, I get 4x minus 4x is 0. So all I have is a negative 24. Okay, so I just brought down that minus 24 and made it a negative 24. Okay, and now I solve this problem like I would all the other problems. I've got plus 12, and I have negative x equals negative 12. And now what do? I do not want to know the answer to negative x. I want to know the answer to just x. So how do you get rid of a negative x? Well, it's the same thing as having a negative 1 in front, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. Okay? And then that makes it so that I have x equals negative 12 divided by a negative 1 is a positive 12. And there's my answer, x equals 12. So let's check it and see if that comes out right. If I am going too fast for you on these problems, you can always pause it, think about it for a minute, rewind it, and say, what did she say? That's the great thing about me being on video. Okay, so here's my problem on the check. I put the x's in there so that you could see it when I change it into 12 for the x's, right? Because that was my answer is 12. So everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put a 12. So I get 3 times 12 minus 4 equals 4 times 12 minus 6. So now I'm going to do inside my parentheses. So 12 minus 4 is 8. And over here, 12 minus 6 is 6. So now on the left side, I have 3 times 8, which is 24. And on the right side, I have 4 times 6, which is 24. So those check. That is correct. Okay. Now, I'm showing you how to check these. Sometimes you do not need to check problems. You need to read your directions to see if you need to check problems or not. But on this, I want you to learn how to check problems, so that's why we're doing them. Okay, example 3, this is our last example. We have 5x plus 3x minus 4 equals x plus 2. Okay, write that down. 5x plus 3x minus 4 equals x plus 2. Now, I have x's on both sides, but before I solve that, I'm going to add my like terms. That should always be your first thing you're doing. Look on the left and then on the right and see if you have like terms. So I'm going to add these. I get 8x minus 4, and on the other side I have x plus 2. So now I'm going to minus this x to put it on, move it to the other side. And I get 7x minus 4 equals 2. Remember, these go away because they equal 0. And now my problem is just like all the other ones. If you've been doing well in calculating your, or getting your equations right, then you should be able to do this one. Then I divide by 7. And remember, you're going to leave them as a fraction. Unless they start out as a decimal, you leave them as a fraction. And my answer is x equals 6/7. And you could go through this and solve this or check this with the 6/7, but we're actually not going to do that on this check. Because in your assignment today, you do not have to check all of them. I suggest you check them if you think that you have one wrong, to see if it's right or not. Okay, and on tests and quizzes, sometimes I say to check them, sometimes I don't. So that's just something that I want you to get in the habit of checking them when you need to. If it's taking you too long and you're taking hours to do your homework because of the checks, you can always choose not to if the directions say you don't have to. Okay, and that's it for today, and I think that's it for this week. Okay.